Have you ever pondered about the difference between judgment and discernment? It's a question that reveals a profound truth about our interactions with the world around us. Judgment, you see, is a double-edged sword. It's often based on preconceived notions and biases, coloring our world with shades of negativity. It paints a picture that is more reflective of our internal state rather than the reality of what we're observing. On the flip side, we have discernment. It's a process of understanding, of making decisions not based on preconceived ideas, but rather on perception and intuition. It's about seeing the world as it is, not as we assume it to be. And the beauty of discernment is that it often leads to positive outcomes, opening up a world of possibilities rather than restricting us to our own limited perspectives. Judgment confines us while discernment sets us free. But how do we transmute one into the other? Imagine a monk living high in the mountains, far away from the noise and chaos of society. This isn't your ordinary monk. This monk spent much of his life in the bustling city, amidst the hustle and bustle, the clamor and clatter. He was known for his sharp tongue and quicker wit, always ready with a judgment on each person he encountered, each situation he faced. But over time, he found that this constant judgment was draining him. He felt disconnected, isolated, and unhappy. So he decided to retreat to the mountains, hoping to find the peace that eluded him. In the solitude of the mountains, he began to meditate, to reflect, to introspect. He started questioning the nature of his thoughts, his judgments. He began to see that his judgments were based on his own biases, his own fears, and his own insecurities. They were a reflection of his inner turmoil, not an accurate reflection of the world around him. As he spent more time in silence, the monk began to differentiate between judgment and discernment. He realized that judgment was a prison, a trap that kept him locked in his own mind, disconnected from the world. On the other hand, discernment was a gateway, a bridge that connected him to others, to the world, and to himself. He saw that judgment was rooted in fear, in the need to protect himself from perceived threats. It was a way of putting up walls, of keeping others at a distance. Discernment, however, was rooted in understanding, in compassion, in acceptance. It was a way of building bridges, of connecting with others on a deeper level. The monk began to transmute his judgments into discernments. He replaced his fear with understanding, his bias with compassion, his insecurities with acceptance. And in doing so, he found the peace he had been seeking. He felt connected not just to the people he met, but to the world around him, to the universe, and to himself. In the silence of the mountains, the monk discovered that transmuting judgment into discernment is the key to inner peace. So, the question arises, how did the monk transmute judgment into discernment? The path of transmutation begins with mindfulness, the practice of being fully present and engaged in the here and now. It is about observing our thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment. When we are mindful, we become more aware of our internal narratives and can start to question their validity. Next comes empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. When we practice empathy, we move beyond our own perspective and begin to see things from others' points of view. This broadens our understanding and helps us to discern rather than judge. Self-awareness is the third step. It involves understanding our own feelings, motivations, and desires. By knowing ourselves deeply, we can make conscious decisions based on discernment instead of being driven by judgment. Remember, the journey of transmutation is not a one-time event, but a continuous process of growth and self-discovery.